It started with a laugh. Not the good kind, not the warm kind. The kind that makes you pause for half a second and think, wait, was that aimed at me? I was standing in the aisle of a nearly full overnight flight, one hand gripping my backpack strap, the other holding a thick binder that had been my whole life for the past year. I remember thinking, just get to your seat, sit down, disappear. That was always my strategy. Don't draw attention. Don't invite trouble. Yeah, that plan didn't survive the next 5 minutes. I was flying from Seattle to Boston, middle seat economy, row 32. Cheap ticket, no perks, no status. I looked like what I was trying to be that night. Invisible. Hoodie, sneakers, tired eyes, brain already fried from weeks of non-stop studying. This flight mattered. It wasn't a vacation. It wasn't a flex. It was a hinge moment between the life I came from and the one I was trying to build. You know what I mean? That quiet pressure where everything feels heavy but no one around you knows why. Up front, separated by a thin curtain and a whole lot of attitude, sat a woman named Evelyn Crown. I didn't know her name then, but I knew her type instantly. Perfect hair, perfect posture, voice trained to cut through rooms. She had that energy of someone who'd never been told no without immediately calling a manager. She was already complaining before we even finished boarding. Cold champagne, slow service, unacceptable. I heard it all as I waited for the line to move. When the aisle finally cleared a bit, the guy in front of me stopped short to shove his bag into the overhead bin. My foot clipped the carpet. Reflex took over. I reached out to steady myself and brushed Evelyn's sleeve. Barely. Honestly, if I hadn't seen her reaction, I wouldn't have even remembered it happened. But she gasped, like I'd struck her. Loud. Dramatic. The kind of sound that turns heads instantly. "Don't touch me," she snapped. The cabin went quiet in that uncomfortable way, like everyone suddenly realized they were part of something they didn't sign up for. I froze. My stomach dropped. I apologized right away. Soft voice, eyes down. "I'm sorry I tripped." She stood up so fast her seatbelt alarm chirped. Looked me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe. "Do you have any idea how much this jacket costs?" she said, brushing the fabric like it had been contaminated. "People like you have no awareness, no respect." People like you? Yeah. That landed exactly how you think it did. A flight attendant stepped in calm, but firm, tried to move things along. Evelyn rolled her eyes, muttered something about standard slipping, then pointed toward the back of the plane. "Go," she said. "Just go, sit where you belong." As I passed her, she leaned in and whispered something sharp and ugly that made my jaw tighten. I didn't respond. I just kept walking. Some days, surviving means swallowing things you shouldn't have to. I thought that was it. I sat down. Headphones on, binder open, tried to focus. But the truth is, moments like that don't just vanish. They sit in your chest. They hum. And apparently they ferment in people like Evelyn. About 2 hours into the flight, after several drinks she absolutely didn't need, she came through the curtain into economy. Said the first-class restroom was occupied. Technically true. What wasn't necessary was stopping directly beside my seat. She stared at me like she'd been waiting for this. She tapped my shoulder hard, yanked my headphones off before I could react. "You," she said. "Your leg is shaking. It's disturbing the cabin." I blinked, confused. I'm sitting in my seat. She laughed a brittle, mean sound. "Don't play dumb." I took a breath. "Please leave me alone." That was apparently the wrong answer. She looked at my binder, scoffed, and said, "What is this cosplay? You think reading makes you important?" Then she swiped the binder off my tray table. It hit the floor with a heavy thud, pages spilling everywhere. That was the moment something shifted in me. Not rage, not fear, just a line being crossed. I stood up. "You need to go back to your seat," I said. My voice was shaking, but I didn't sit back down. She stepped closer. "Make me." The flight attendant rushed over, trying to de-escalate. Evelyn pointed at me, playing the victim again. "She threatened me," she said. I opened my mouth to respond. I didn't get the chance. She hit me. Hard. Open hand rings and all straight across my face. The sound was awful. Skin on metal, bone on bone. My head snapped sideways. I fell back into my seat. For a second, everything went silent. Then I tasted blood. Warm. Metallic. It dripped onto my hoodie, my hands, the armrest. Someone gasped. Someone swore. Evelyn stood there breathing hard, eyes wild, like she'd just shocked herself as much as everyone else. "That's what you get," she said. "Learn your place." I didn't scream. I didn't swing back. I sat there holding my face, watching the red soak into fabric. And in that stillness, something else settled in. Calm, cold, focused. The flight attendant grabbed her. Other passengers stepped in. Phones came out. She started yelling about lawsuits, about who she was, about how this airline would regret touching her. They talked about diverting, about calling ahead. I could have let it go, could have stayed silent, let the system do whatever it was going to do, but silence has a cost, and I was done paying it. I stood up slowly, pulled the towel away from my face, reached into my bag and took out my ID wallet. Not flashy, not dramatic. I held it out to the flight attendant and said, "Call the cockpit." Now. His expression changed instantly. Color drained from his face. He knew what he was looking at. Training will do that. He nodded and moved fast. When the captain came back in full uniform and addressed me by title, the entire plane felt like it stopped breathing. Evelyn's mouth opened. Closed. She didn't understand yet, but she knew something was wrong. We diverted. Federal agents met the plane. Her status was revoked on the spot. No more perks, no more protection. She cried. Promised her husband would fix it. He tried. Later, quiet office, checkbook out. Apologies rehearsed. What he didn't know was that I'd been investigating his company for months. Fraud, bribes, safety violations. I was on that flight to deliver the final report. His wife didn't just assault a passenger. She assaulted the person holding the key to their collapse. They lost everything. Reputation, freedom, money, all of it. A year later, I flew again. Different route, different life. Same scars, just quieter now. Someone asked if I wanted anything to drink. I said water. Looked out the window. Felt by seat. This isn't a revenge story. It's a reminder. You never know who you're dealing with. You never know what someone is carrying, what they've earned, what line you're about to cross. Power doesn't always sit in first class. Sometimes it's exhausted bleeding sitting in the middle seat deciding whether to stay silent or stand up. So let me ask you this. If you'd been there watching it unfold, what would you have done? Stepped in sooner? Looked away? Said something after? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand.